Hello and welcome to my Camera State YouTube channel. It's finally here, the Akai Professional MPC Key 61, the first MPC that has been given a dedicated keyboard. In this test video, I'll introduce you to the new standalone workstation and share my first impressions and experience. If you want to see a more detailed walkthrough through the 25 instrument plugins or are curious how the sequencer works in detail, please let me know in the comments. If you're new to this channel and would like to see similar contents, please like and subscribe. Now let's get started. The Akai Professional MPC Key 61 was delivered well packaged and, in addition to the actual workstation, also includes a power cable and a USB cable with which you can connect the MPC to a computer and the MPC Beats software, which is available free of charge. By the way, anyone who owns an MPC Key 61 is offered additional exclusive content via the software, but in this video I want to focus entirely on the standalone capability of the MPC Key 61. In order to get an overview of all features and functions, Akai Professional enclosed a poster with the MPC Key 61 that has a diagram of key features and functions in English. What I immediately noticed was a high quality workmanship. The feel of the buttons, controls and the semi-weighted keyboard with aftertouch is absolutely solid. There really isn't any wobbling or rattling. The feel of the weight of the MPC key is just as solid. At 8.2 kilos or 18 pounds, it is definitely not lightweight, and with its dimensions of 99 centimeters or 39 inches width, a depth of 31.2 centimeters or 12.3 inches and a height of 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches, it just about fits on my desk. The size makes it more suitable for use in the studio or for stage gigs. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it as something to take with you on the road to make music. In a studio though is where the MPC Key 61 is really suited. This is where you see the advantage of its size. All the important controls fit on the housing surface, none of them are awkwardly placed. This in turn makes familiarity with its usability very intuitive, particularly if you want to use the MPC Key 61 in its standalone mode. Let's take a closer look at the controls on the case's surface. On the far left are the main volume control, two modulation knobs, and programmable touch strip controller and other buttons to, for instance, determine the tempo of a song manually or to switch the built-in metronome on and off. At the top right next to the main volume control are the so-called pad bank buttons, which you can use to switch between up to 8 groups of drum samples or different MIDI note values. And that brings us to the 16 velocity sensitive MPC drum pads with aftertouch and note repeat known from other MPCs. These are backlit and they are not only nice to look at but very functional. The colors help to better assign samples, groups and certain settings. Trying out the pads, I assumed the pads would yield more under pressure, but when playing they feel quite hard and yield response was very minimal. To the right of the drum pads are the buttons for accessing the main menu, the sequencer and the preset browser. And that brings us to the heart of the Akai Professional MPC Key 61, the 7-inch color touchscreen. This supports multi-touch and gestures and is therefore the central control element. In addition, there are 4 assignable cue-link controller knobs and a data dial knob that you can not only turn but also press, giving you complete edit and control on the sequencer. On the right side you will find all the controls of the transport field and above them buttons for quick access to other important functions such as the step sequencer, sampler, MIDI controller. As you can see, there are really dedicated buttons and controls for every important function, and this may take a lot of getting used to at the beginning. Luckily, there are tutorials in the MPC Academy, which I honestly had to check out first myself. Which brings us to the rear panel connectors. There are inputs for optional pedals, for example to control expression or sustain. 8 CV gate check outputs are placed next to it for the modular integration of synthesizers or rack modules. Then follows an integrated audio interface, which according to Akai Professional is equipped with premium ADDA converters and has 2 mic line instrument inputs with an additional high-end microphone amplifier. Next to it you can see 4 discrete line outputs and a headphone output, and on the right side there are 2 USB ports to connect external equipment such as additional keyboards or USB hubs, and another USB port to connect the MPC Key 61 to a computer. There's also an Ethernet network connection, but the MPC Key 61 also has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. On the far right is the on-off button and the connection for the power cable. As you can see, Akai Professional has thought of everything and the MPC Key 61 is fully equipped so you can produce music with it without the need for additional equipment. Well, apart from the headphones, because the MPC Key 61 doesn't have any speakers. Some technical specs: the MPC Key 61 has a quad-core ARM processor and 4GB of RAM installed. There is a total of 32GB of memory, of which only 15GB can be freely assigned, but the MPC Key 61 can be expanded via SATA connections. And that brings us to the two most important questions: how does the Akai Professional MPC Key 61 actually sound, and how easy is it to use? At this point I really have to commend Akai Professional because the MPC 61 is really well thought out. Sure, you have to study all the tutorials first, but once you understand how to use it, everything is very intuitive and somehow more fun than sitting at the computer and the DAW. Tutorials on how to use the sequence and detail are available from Akai Professional in the MPC Academy and would also go beyond the scope of this video. If you still have questions, please leave me a comment. And that brings us to the sound quality and the sounds, which positively surprised me because the MPC Key 61 comes with a total of 25 instrument plugins, all of which sound really good. Akai Professional has given each instrument its own user interface, and the touchscreen gives you direct access to all sound parameters and you can change them as you wish. Since it is not easy to produce your own song with the MPC Key 61 as a newcomer, Akai Professional has given the MPC Key 61 a total of 11 demo projects, which you can load directly at the start to get a first impression of the sound quality. During the course of my testing, one thing has become clear: the MPC Key 61 sound reproduction may be the standard to which other competitors need to look at. The kick drums are banging, the basses are booming, and yet the instrument tracks sound beautifully transparent and cut through in the mix. There are really good sound designers at work because out of the box, the tracks that are produced with it sound pretty official, even before you start fine-tuning, mixing and mastering, which is also possible within the MPC Key 61. I'm very curious what you think of the Akai Professional MPC Key 61, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If there are many reactions to this video, I'll be happy to do another follow-up. On that note, see you next time, auf Wiedersehen.